that doing that one sports activity a day gives me that happiness when I go to bed.
How did the dream of IIT came into your picture?
In my mind since my nursery.
Really?
Dad did his PhD from IIT Delhi. Mom was doing her PhD from IIT Delhi. I just want to get into an IIT to get an IIT and tag. At that point, the idea was IIT and then I am karne ka hai. So, yeah. Initial thought is the standard fund of half of the parents. IIT के बाद IIM करेंगे, investment banker बनेंगे. नहीं. That was the idea which got into me without me knowing it. Like एक IIT का बैच लग जाएगा, फिर IIM का बैच लग जाएगा, like top class बनेंगे हम.
Okay.
So that was the thought behind it. So even my professor said, "What are you doing in sports? There's nothing in sports." I said, "Give me 6 months. I'll prove it to it that it is worth it. Like I'll figure it out. I'll figure my life out. Don't worry about it." While internally, I was like super pressurized. कि भाई क्या चल क्या रहा है life? So my dad said something which hit my mom at one point, that if he is happy, then you will be happy. Like a 10-minute interview. And the final question from him to me was, why do you want to join us? I said, I hate football. And I still remember this answer because this is still my favorite answer. I said, I hate football. I was able to get marks. I was good at remembering stuff rather than understanding it. While my maths was so good that even like in my 7th class, I used to finish 9th class books. And I never scored 100. I always got stuck at 99. There was one mistake that I'll do in every paper. I know that I can answer, but I don't want to answer. I will just finish the paper and leave. That kind of personality. In school, 9th class, I did shot put. I played district with shot put, and that is how I got into athletics. Like other sports, I follow. I follow shooting. I follow archery. I follow a ton load of sports, but I don't love it like under se. Realized it that I love being part of doing it rather than playing it. Basically, my idea was, you give me a job, I'll get that done. You don't give me a job, I'll still get someone else's job done. Here, मेरे को sports में कुछ करने का है. क्या करने का है? I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do. But I was so determined that मैं कुछ तो करूँगा और sports में ही करूँ, whatever I want. Many of these owners have multiple teams. I was the first employee of the company and I'm still with them.
Wow.
Our company in terms of age profile is the youngest in terms of the whole group. I am the second oldest in the company when I'm just 31. In sports, if you come with that mindset that it's a 9 to 5 job, then it's really going to be tough. I won't be lying that you can get a 9 to 5 job in sports. While I am not saying that sports will take away your personal life, you will have plenty and enough of time for your social and personal life, but you literally are always active. With so much passion comes so much emotions. So when you lose, it's a task. When you lose, it's a task. When you win, the emotions are super high. So some passion for sports. One is some passion for doing work where you want to do work. Other is some passion for sports so that you can understand things. While I still hated football, I understood it. I just didn't like watching it. This is one thing I follow for myself as well. Don't regret. Try to find a positive out of whatever has happened in your life. Figure out what you can do better and take out the positives, whatever has happened. So don't regret.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to IIT Podcast. With us today, we have Ekansh, and I'm real excited Ekansh today because Ekansh is VP of Chennai FC and VP of Ultimate Table Tennis. You cannot have a cooler resume than the resume you have in class. And personally, if I would have known this path when I was in college, I am definitely pursuing this path. And that's the reason I'm very excited today because I know a lot of people like me are in the college who are into sports, but they don't know if there is a career they can follow. So today, as we talk through, I think it's going to be super beneficial for them. So let's get back into the college where we spent our time together. I was doing tennis, you were doing athletics. So how would you define, Ekansh, your personality as a student? What kind of student were you? What were you doing in college?
So I thank you. Thank you for the introduction. In terms of my college life, I was able to get marks. I was good at remembering stuff rather than understanding it. So, like, if you tell me that this is what is going to come in the paper, or you at the end know exactly which side it is going to go, what is the pattern, if you go through old material, you understand that what are the kind of questions which are going to come up. So for me, my memory served the best case for me, where I will just remember whatever is on which page, and at the end I will just go and blabber whatever I could remember, and that is how I used to study. That was the kind of personality I had. I had relatively aggressive personality as compared to how I am right now in terms of talking, in terms of behaving. Maybe to an outside world, I was not that aggressive, but inner inner self, I knew that I was quite aggressive when I had to. So
Mm.
and I was a bit impatient when it used to come to things like finish off the paper. Even if I know that I can answer, but I don't want to answer, I will just finish the paper and leave. That kind of personality, like I have to rush somewhere, I might not give that enough importance. So that is the kind of personality change I've felt over time. So uh, that
Oh,
is
oh.
a brief about me. Yeah.
That's surprising because I didn't feel like you were aggressive, as you were saying. Like outside, you were very calm, and I knew your scores were very high. I studied earthquake subject, and I took your help. You helped me a lot, so you were very good at marks. You were getting good marks, and then you were into sports a lot, a lot. You were engaged in all the sports activity, and that's where probably the path led to. So we'll touch on those things. So now let's go to your childhood. How was your childhood? Who are in your who else is in your family? Where did you grow up? Growing up, were you into sports? How was your studies? If you can talk about that.
Okay. So, my initial family, we were all staying in Delhi. I did my junior KG, LKG, whatever you call it in nowadays, in Delhi. Then we moved to Indore, which used to be a very small town when we moved to Indore. Like no one knew the name, but
Okay.
right now it's the cleanest city in India for 6 straight years. So now I can be very proud of being an Indori. Uh, I don't like being called an Indori for several other reasons, but yeah, the since my first standard, my dad shifted to Indore, and that is where I grew up till 12th, and then college at Roorkee. Uh, my dad is a scientist. My mom was doing a PhD when I was born, and she couldn't continue, and we had to move to Indore after some time. So she's also a postdoc. And my sister right now is pursuing her PG from IIM AIMS Jodhpur. Yeah, correct. So that is my
Oh,
family. Yeah.
Ames
So they're
Jodhpur. I'm from
correct.
Jodhpur.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So they're all more learned from me. Definitely, I'm the one who took that path that मेरे को एक point के बाद पढ़ाई नहीं करने का sort of behavior I had. And while even in my school life, it was always like I was not good at co-curricular activities. Like I was not good at drawing, painting, all those handwritings. I used to hate debates. Public speaking was the worst for me. Like if you put me in, I will just go uh, say good morning, thank you, and I exited. And that was my debate pattern. Like after a point, the school didn't select me for anything. While I was very good with quizzes and those kind of things, I was not into interactions a lot. And I used to love sports. The point where I realized it, that I love being part of doing it rather than playing it. That was the difference with me, which I picked up maybe in my fag end of my school life, 11, 12. I picked up that while I was very average in playing, while I still played district, I ended up playing some level at state, but I was not very passionate. So my effort in terms of playing and like achieving that was very less as compared to if you put me up and say, we need to get this done, you get it done. And I will put up like 72 hours without sleeping to just get a job done in sports. So that was a difference which I realized maybe in my 12th class.
Hmm.
While obviously parents are always there, they keep on saying pado pado pado, and that is the background we all grew up to. And with my family, everyone uh, had that expectation from me. I was the second oldest kid in the whole khandan, if you say. So everyone had
Okay.
that whole expectation that he will do something really big in terms of studies, and I was never into studies. While I was able to score marks, otherwise uh, the thing was I was very good at remembering things, and I was very good with maths. These were the two strengths that I had. Otherwise, even if you see my marks when you and I qualified for JE, you'll see my physics marks, you'll laugh. You'll see my chemistry marks, you'll laugh. But when you see my maths marks, it was, I guess, quite high as compared to even the top 1,000 ranked people. So maybe that
Mm.
was the difference creator for me, and memories of the other part where getting marks in physics, chemistry became relatively easier, at least for CBSE school for me. So yeah, that is how I
Gotcha.
grew up.
So when you said like in 12th you realized that you're good at activities related to the sport, like what were you doing at that time other than not participating? Was it organizing the school events or district event? If you talk a little bit about that, would help us.
Okay. So it was a gradual increase in terms of my understanding of this fact. After 10th, I didn't score that high. Like every kid has that dream that they'll score 90% and they'll get a bike. I had the same dream. I had the same deal with my parents. I ended up scoring 89.2 and I was stuck because of uh, those marks.
Oh.
And of now I feel it was a good thing that I didn't score that 90%. Maybe my career would have been different. And that was actually the fact that made me realize later that I don't have to regret anything. Whatever I do at the end, whether it fails or not, that was the fact that changed things. So I didn't get my
Mm.
bike, and I was like, no, I now have to prove that I will do something different. Obviously, when you're not the topper, you don't get to become the school captain also. In 11th and 12th, you
Mm.
become the school captain and vice captain. So luckily, the guy above me, so there was a girls and there was a boys captain. So girls, there were like some three, four girls above me, but boys, there was only one guy above me. So he ended up not taking the post, saying, I want to study. And whereas the guy who was around my rank, he ended up shifting to quota. So at the end,
Mm.
school had no choice but to give it to me. And that is when I got into that whole organizing piece, where whether it's school activities or whether it's sports, I started handling it. And then we did the inter-school sports meet. And that is when I
God.
organized it for the school, like on behalf of like arranging everything, getting
Mm.
funds, talking to people, lining up the schedule. Obviously, all the teachers were the main part. I played a very small role, but that
Mhm.
gave me that small insight. Maybe this is something I would like to do in future.
Got it. So the captain means school captain, the not the
Yeah,
house captain. So you're
no,
responsible
school.
for all these events related to the school. Gotcha.
Correct.
So how was the shift? Because you said you were not into all these activities, and then suddenly now you are the captain of the school. So how was that switch? Did you feel like I don't want to do it? Why did you took that?
No, so I didn't have to participate. Till the time I don't have to participate, I'm more than happy. I am on the background working for it. I'm more
Okay.
than happy. See, as soon as you put me in the front, I didn't like doing it. It's not that I
Mm.
couldn't do it. I just like never liked interacting with that many people. I'll get your job done. Basically, my idea was you give me a job, I'll get that done. You don't give me a job, I'll still get someone else's job done. That's how I
Mm.
approached things. That like say they wanted to do a debate competition, whatever is required, I knew everything. It's just that I won't be the one who's going up on the stage and speaking about it. So that way it
Gotcha.
was just organizing something. That's it. that is
Okay.
that is when I felt that I can do. And that is where the
Okay.
organization skills came from. And sports, maybe more towards the fag end of 12, when I did the school meet, and then when I shifted to college, and then started participating inter-IIT, saw those things, I figured that this is something that I can be really good at. And then inter-IIT fell into our labs in 2012, and that is where that was the whole game changer for me.
I see. I see. Gotcha. So that's very interesting part there that you don't want the limelight. You know you can do it. You can do it all. You know the confidence, but you don't want to be on the front, get the all the attention. You'll get everything done. Now, when did the goal of IIT came into your picture? So, well, one thing I'm already feeling is your parents are too strict, man. 89.2, and if the deal is at 90%, I mean, you gotta give it, just 0.8%. That's very strict parents.
No, strict as in, it was more like that they had to be after me to study. I was not one of the bright ones till my 10th class, because I always thought
Hmm.
number to aa jayenge. I was always among the
Hmm.
top five. I was never the topper. While
Hmm.
my maths was so good that even like in my 7th class, I used to finish 9th class books. And I never
Hmm.
scored 100. I always got stuck at 99. There was one mistake that I'll do in every paper. While people who are not that good with maths, they will always score hundreds. And my teacher will curse me literally that how can you never get 100? I said I genuinely have no idea. And my mom studied maths, and she took like personal uh, thing like how can he not score 100? So they were always after me. uh, while I can say till 10th they were very strict, or maybe till 12th, till I graduated to IIT. But after that, my
Mm-hmm.
dad said something which hit my mom at one point, that if he is happy, then you will be happy. When I was joining my first post job, while it was not very high paying, it was
Mm-hmm.
totally whatever I've learned in 5 years. As per them, it was not
Mm-hmm.
useful. And my dad at that point
Mm-hmm.
said, if he is happy, you will find that happiness. My mom was very reluctant
Mm-hmm.
in terms of my first post job. She was like, if 6 months you don't do anything, you do an MBA, you study for CAT, and you do. I said, give me 6 months, I'll prove it to it that it is worth it. And when they saw me
Got
happy doing it, that is when they realized that at the end, maybe they were strict, maybe still I feel they were strict. They got me this position to get into an IIT. And maybe that
Mhm.
also helped in my sporting career, which I will share during the
Sure.
later part of this
Okay.
section, that how it got me in. Yeah.
Got it. So how did the dream of IIT came into your picture? When did you realize there is IIT and the dream, like I want to do IIT, and you
So
started
I guess it
preparing for
was
it?
in my mind since my nursery. Okay, why? Because dad did
Really?
his PhD. Yeah, dad did his PhD from IIT Delhi. Mom was doing
Oh,
her PhD from IIT Delhi while she couldn't complete.
oh.
But I always heard IIT, 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 IIT. It was like always banging in my head that we have done PhD, but we want an undergrad from an IIT in the family, and that was always like, maybe since the time I remember understanding what an IIT is, I always knew that I want to get into an IIT for the thing that I'm an IITian. Maybe it will be very superficial for many people that I'm saying this, but that is how it came to me, that I just want to get into an IIT to get an IITian tag. There was At that point there
Mm,
was nothing else that I wanted. I had no idea what I'll study, what is mechanical, what is engineering. I had no idea
mm,
what I'm going to do there. The point was I need to
mm,
get into an IIT to like get that badge. There was nothing else. There was no other uh, dream behind it as such, if I say, while it can be very superficial, but yeah, that is how it was. And it was always
yeah.
in my mind. And 10th, when I didn't get the marks, it struck me that maybe I'm making some mistake in it. Maybe I'm not following the right path. And if I don't get it, I will feel bad about it. While other
Mm,
friends shifted to Kota, I was not the one who wanted to stay alone and study. I knew as soon as I go down that path, I might not stick to it. I might just go and get into partying and chilling around. So I ended up saying, okay, fine, I'll put my brains to it. I will try to achieve success and put my head to it. And maybe that 10th marks did give me a jolt, while my parents still believe that I was just doing time pass in 11th and 12th also. I could have got a higher rank. But I feel that I got how much I worked for, I got what I deserved, and I was really happy. And they even asked me, "Do you want to take a drop at the end?" I said, "No, I can't go through that pain again of like a limited social life or playing time or whatever you say it. I can't go, and that too without school, because school played a very major role in my upbringing. Because I loved going to school. Like I had a 97% attendance. I still fought on the last day that it can't be 97. It has to be 99. I only missed 2 days in my whole school life.
mhm,
That is the kind of feeling I had for my school. I loved going to school. I had no like there was no reason for me to go to school. It was 60% mandatory attendance, but I just loved going to school. Even if I had a
mm.
assignment pending, even if there's a JEE Sunday exam pending or coming up, I would love going to school. I would never miss it. So uh, that was the case.
Got so your preparation would be very extreme because you're so dedicated on the school side. You're doing all these organization during your 11th, 12th, you're school head of the school, and then you're preparing for IIT. So that phase would be, it seems like extra challenging. You're doing IIT, which in itself requires a lot of effort, energy, time, and then you're also exploring and doing the head of school thing, right?
No, so head of school didn't take up that much time, because it used to be like 2 days a month where you will put in a lot of effort to do an event, because
Okay.
at your school level there is not much you do. While obviously the standard thing was morning prayer, lining up
Mm,
people, checking, class monitoring of junior kids and all that. So that was the fun part of it. That obviously gave me
mm,
that ample free time to like chill out my brain also, so that it doesn't like start. Uh, it doesn't stagnate in terms of the whole thinking process. So that gave me the free
gotcha.
time. In terms of studying, I was a very particular what do you say, a student in terms of what I want to learn. I will focus whatever I have to. Other things I will pick and choose depending on patterns. So I'll pick up old papers. I'll see what is happening, what happened, how much did each thing weigh at what point, and all that. So I'll study very strategically rather than studying everything. So if I know that one
Mm,
thing is of less value, maybe I will skip it. Maybe I won't put my brains to it, and then spend
mm,
a lot of time. While everyone thinks that सबसे छोटा छोटा marks आ जाएगा, you will be better. I ended up
mm,
focusing on the bigger things. And as I said, ki maths was my forte. So in terms of spending time on maths, it was relatively low. So I could spend
mm.
more time on physics and chemistry, which I was really weak in, like really, really bad at.
Got got it. And how were your parents' expectations? Were they, you know, helping you in studies for 11, 12, or were you going to coaching and doing self-study since your parents been to IIT? Were they giving some pointers, or how
So
was it?
dad ended up helping in physics because that was his background. Obviously,
Mhm,
I was not one of those students who will ask for help. Like at some point, I figured that I feel ashamed asking for help. So I
mm,
was not one of those who will go up and ask for help. No, dad helped me. So he had to sit me down. Kya hua? What is the trouble? What are you going through? What can I help you with? So then he will sit me down on once a week and like take me through all my concerns. And mom will do that similar for chemistry. While maths, they
mm,
knew I had no problem, and maths I was really quick with. And obviously, I had coaching classes. I was going to a couple of coaching classes in Indore itself.
mhm.
So after school,
Got
about
it.
4 hours, 4.5 hour session or 3 hour session on 5 to 6 days I was doing. But yeah, they ended up helping me
And
a lot in terms of uh, whether they could help me solve the question or not. They would just give that confidence that you can do it. You don't have to worry.
mm,
If you don't like it,
mm,
skip this part for today. We'll revisit it tomorrow, and that kind of
mm.
help. And obviously there was
Got.
English and computers and language and all that which are going on. So
Mhm,
language also he'll help me out because at the end, while JE is the main thing, you still had to score some marks in your board, because at that point the idea was IIT and then I am करने का है, तो IIM में आपको 10 12
अच्छा.
के marks भी लगेंगे. Yeah.
Oh,
Initial thought is the standard fund है ना of half of the parents. IIT के बाद
so,
IIM करेंगे, investment banker
so
बनेंगे.
was
That's how
it
it.
your plan? Were you thinking IIT के बाद IIM करूँगा? Or was it like
That
IIT
was the
अब
thought.
भी तो IIT?
नहीं नहीं नहीं, that was the idea which got into me without me knowing it. Like एक IIT का बैच लग जाएगा, फिर IIM का बैच लग जाएगा, लाइक टॉप क्लास बनेंगे हम.
Okay.
So that was the thought behind it. While now I feel and I laugh on it, but yeah, maybe that was the thinking at
I
that
see.
point. Many of us who
Got
came
it.
to college had the same thinking. Many actually ended up doing it. I
Yeah.
ended up picking what I actually loved rather than following a trend, which was something which indirectly was fed to my mind and not something which
Hmm.
I actually wanted.
Got it. So you knew you need to get good in 12th so that after IIT you get in
Correct.
IIM. For me,
Correct.
like I it was like I want to be IIT. I want to get into IIT. I didn't know the branches and all. I wanted to get into IIT so that I can play tennis. One of my
Oh,
uncle's kid was playing tennis in college and all that. So everyone was like, "बस 2 साल पढ़ाई करो and then you get into IIT. It's just fun. You just play, enjoy life. Life set है भाई इसके बाद." So I thought,
सब
okay,
बोलते हैं
I'll
भाई.
put down. So 2 years head down, get into IIT. So, but I didn't know I am and all that. So I didn't focus much on 12. I was all locked in into just the IIT part. So cool, cool. So you get into IIT and now you already have this idea of what IIT is. Your parents are from IIT. So how was your experience of getting into IIT, seeing it yourself, the first impression of knowing what the real reality of IIT is?
So the funny story how it started, I never wanted Roorkee, and that to the branch I got. Okay, it is a very funny story. We were in Bombay, staying at my dad's friend's house for counseling, and they gave you the form earlier where you have to fill in your codes R52, R53, which is Roorkee 54 was geophysics. What I got. So obviously you fill in IIT Bombay 1, IIT Bombay 2, IIT Bombay 3, like B1, B2, B3 in computer science and all the categories. So I ended up filling. I marked out which the branches I don't want, and this was one of the branch I didn't want. Okay, and I was like, rather just take IIT Indore. At that year it was open, and I was like, IIT Indore, I'll get computer science. Let's just go for it.
Mm.
I don't know what happened to me and my dad while we were filling the sheet. We just filled it just one place above IIT Indore. We just filled it in.
Oh.
We don't even remember filling it in. We specifically marked it that what is earth science, what is earthquake, what is the career in it. We marked it that we won't fill it, and we filled it. And to our luck, when the results were announced, I said, huh? Did I even apply for this? What is this brand? I was like stuck, like for half an hour, 1 hour. My mom was shouting, "What the hell did you guys do? What is this?" My dad was confused. What did we do? And it was all a mess. And then we started making some phone calls, figured who's from this industry, ended up figuring
Mm.
out a professor who was like dad's very close friends, some Chacha or Tauji, and we ended up calling him. He was at that time deputy director of IIT Roorkee also. So when we called him, he said last year Shell में 36 लाख का placement हुआ है. Mind blown. अरे
Mm.
ये तो बेस्ट
Mm.
ब्रांच है अभी तक लाइफ में जो आपको मिल. The mom super happy. Then everything changed. जब पैसा देखा, like,
Oh.
again, it will come out very superficial and greedy, but that is how the
Yeah.
mentality is when you grow up in a
Yeah.
middle class family with restricted means and uh, resources. At that point, like 36 lakh ka naukri, and this is 2009 I'm talking about. One of the guys got
Yeah.
selected into Rio Tinto and Schlumberger. So they got some package at that point. And when we spoke to this professor, he was like, "Arey, this is my department only. You come, this is the
Mm.
best department. You'll get a lot of money." I
Mm.
like, okay, chalo, fine, karte. Then my mom, after a day, she was like, drop later. I like, no, I can't do it. I'm genuinely saying I can't do it. I'll go there, I'll study hard, I'll change my branch. So the mindset
Oh,
was,
I see, I
yeah,
see.
and the mindset was I'll go there, change my branch, and like I'll go to mechanical, I'll go to chemical, or I'll go to electrical. ऐसा तोड़ फोड़ मचाएंगे वहां जाकर. वो हुआ कुछ नहीं, but still mom को convince करने के लिए that was my dialogue which I gave. Obviously, I ended up studying hard for it. I was like at the boundary of getting PI at that point, but I ended
Oh.
up, yeah. So ended up thinking that why shouldn't I be the topper in my department rather than going in the mix where there are people who are much better than me. So that was maybe a
Mm.
selfish call, but ended up helping me a lot in my future in terms of the time I got to spare on sports.
Got it. Were you topper? I know, like, you were
No, no.
very good in your
So there
branch.
were two guys who were above me who got like
Okay.
electrical, and one got mechanical, I guess. So the top three
Mm.
could qualify. So the third one
Mm-hmm.
was me. So
I see.
when they got their branch changed, I was the top of them. I
Okay.
ended up
Got it.
final year. I lost a grade on my dissertation in my fifth year for
Mm.
masters. I dropped one grade. I got a 9, and the other guy got 10. Akhil, if you remember Akhil
Yeah,
Prabhakar.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
that
I
is
know
when
him.
he got in terms of CGP and net CGP above me, and he got the Insta silver.
Yeah,
That
man. The
one
insta.
final dissertation, I was at 9, he was
Mm.
at 10. But my dissertation story is another thing. What got me through to sports again. And
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's all part and
Yeah.
parcel. Even my professor said, "What are you doing in sports? There's nothing in sports." And I remember him calling me last year. My dissertation professor, after 8 years, he texted me, like he emailed
Mm.
me, "Kanj, I want to talk to you." I was like, I had no
Mm.
idea what he wanted to talk to me. I called him back. He's like, "My son wants to get into sports." I was like, "Oh, okay." The circle of life completes itself in some way or the other. And at that point, he
I.
even asked me while I submitted my final dissertation, he was like, "Why sports? Like, why do you want to do sports so much? Like, are your parents supportive?" I said, "They are happy that I'm doing something what I love." So he's like,
Mm.
maybe I wouldn't have been that supportive if given a chance that uh, if my kid wanted to be in sports. I said that you will see maybe years later. And when he actually called me for this, I said, "Do you remember you told me something like
Yeah.
this?" He's like, "I frankly don't
Yeah.
remember, but knowing me, I would have said something like that." I said, "I remember it very clearly because you said
Yeah.
maybe you wouldn't have taken this decision. And right now, maybe because of COVID or whatever were the circumstances, you took that decision for your kid. And I'm really happy that I see more people getting into sports." So yeah, my professor also
Mm.
played that small itsy bitsy part to it, where he gave me that leverage to explore whatever I wanted to explore. My dissertation, which usually
Mm.
people do in a year, I maybe finished off in 2 months. And even while going for my dissertation last day, my results actually came on the last day while I was gonna present it. And till then, it was like a very average dissertation. Like it would have been someone who had just copy pasted things and put it up. There was results were nothing in terms of the patterns I was planning to get it. But on the last day when I was submitting the final presentation, the pattern actually came up in front of my eyes, and I was
Mm.
like, this is what I've been looking for the whole year, while I worked only 2 months on it, but I got it. And that is when,
Mm.
as per my professor, I was going to get a 7 in it. But because those results came just in time, I got a 9 for it. And because
I
obviously, if you
see.
don't present a paper or anything, then you don't get a 10. While Akhil presented a
Mm.
paper, so in one of
Mm.
the conferences, so he got that 10 and he uh,
Yeah.
overtook me. If I would have got 10, maybe it would have been equal or somewhere there.
Yeah.
So that is it. But I still, again,
Gotcha.
don't regret it. I had my fun time. I spent a lot of time through that dissertation on personal development in terms of going towards sports, doing something what I always wanted to do. So yeah,
What was it about? What was the dissertation about? Was it
frac-
geotechnical or was it
no, no,
sports
no. It
related?
was related to earthquakes, but there was a term called fractal patterns. So I was working on those. So
Okay.
through earthquakes, if you can figure out if they follow a specific pattern over time.
Mm. I see. Gotcha.
So
Very
yeah,
cool. So, how was your first year, first week, first month at IIT? Now that you got the families happy, 36 lakh, जा बेटा,
we're going
दही
in.
खा, नाम बड़ा कर. How was
We
your
went
first
in.
week?
We
Yeah.
went in. There were some 29 people from Indore on that train which we took to Roorkee.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So that
yeah.
year, 29 people got admitted. One of my school guys who took a drop, Prashant, who used to be in football, if you remember,
Yeah, yeah.
metallurgy or no chemical, chemical ITT. He
Chemical.
was, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he was his dad was dad's colleague, so they were all together in one office. And we figured we both are going to Roorkee, so we all booked that train together. We went, we reached, we got our hostel. G129 was my room number at that point. Rajen Bhavan
Mm-hmm.
mein ghuste hi, second room was my room. My dad dropped me, and that is when we figured, oh, dads are not allowed to stay back. Like
Yeah.
first point, okay, अकेले रहने का है. Okay, cool. नहीं,
Yeah.
that was like a thing. Was not expecting first day. Thought कि ragging wagging होगा ये सब. Then there थोड़ी देर में we
Oh.
figured कि it's only a first year hostel. तो ragging
Mm.
भी कोई क्या ही लेगा हमारा type thinking. But that is how it started. Dad left. Dad went to the guest house. I was staying there, and रात में light चला गया. I don't know whether you remember it or not. First night, if you were there or you came
Uh,
the next day.
I don't remember.
So first day, रात में गए. I had Rajneesh as my room partner, and we both checked in. सब setup वेटअप किया. We went bought a sim. वो गद्दा खरीदते हैं, बाल्टी खरीदते हैं, and all that. Civil line जाके
Yeah,
सब
yeah.
छोटा छोटा खरीद के लाए. And सामने गंगा भवन पे एक स्टॉल लगा हुआ था, तो we picked up all those things. We got it. Dad set me up, and Dad left. Okay, and light
Mm.
चला गया 9 बजे रात. And it is July,
Mm.
like bad summer. Fuck, it was so bad. It was so bad. We were just all the whole hostel was out in the garden, in the other block. We were all just standing. There was no air. Like there was, it was really a bad situation. And then around 4 o'clock, I guess the light came. Then I couldn't
Mm.
sleep. At 5 o'clock, I picked up my bag and I went to my dad's guest house. I was like, वहाँ पे मस्त AC में सोएंगे. So 5 o'clock I left. Figure 5 o'clock I left, like पूरा रुड़की घूमते हुए. Figured उस time पे there was no Google Maps as such. Couldn't understand what it
Mm.
is. पूछ पाछ के I reached Khosla. No, he was staying at Nigam. Yeah, I reached Nigam. Went to his room. AC चला है, मस्त हो गया. So dad was also like, यहाँ पे भी कुछ चल नहीं रहा था. It's not like he would have come in the night. I was like, नहीं, अभी मेरे को सोने का है.
Uh,
I passed out. I woke up at around 9 o'clock, and it was the registration day.
mm.
So I went back to my hostel. There was a big line of kids standing outside because they left without information. I was one of them. Like there was that curfew, na, that kids cannot step out and
Uh,
all that, which
yeah,
we
yeah,
didn't,
yeah,
which I didn't know, which I stepped out. But then at
yeah.
9 o'clock, I told, I made couple of friends. On that night, we were all just sitting. We said, "Bhai, tu bahar aaja and get my stuff.
Uh,
We'll go for registration." And we went for
mm.
registration. वहाँ पे जो प्लेसमेंट सेल था वहाँ पे everyone was sitting. You have to submit affidavit and all that. So We did all those
Mm,
things. That's how it started. First day,
mm,
figured 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock is not something I can study continuously, 9 to 1 back to back lectures, then come back to hostel, then again go back and
mhm.
go through the grilling of 2 to 6.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is how it
What?
was. Then obviously NSO के selections हुए. Both of us got
Mm,
selected.
mm,
Started playing sports. That was the game changer. Where as soon as class used to get over, quickly go 6:30 report
mm,
on the ground, 8:30 come back. Then it became like a system. There was no change.
mm,
Exactly follow the same system. Get done at
mm,
6, go to the training 8:30, come back, eat, and then just pass out. That's how
mm,
the first month went by. I didn't even know there was no ragging for me as such. We ended up making fun of a couple of boys where they thought that we were the seniors.
ah.
One was from PNI only. We ended up going to his room. We were like, "Oh, you were roaming around out." He's like, "No, no, no, sir, please sit," and all that. So we have done our bit of fun also. While we feel bad about it doing it, but
Yeah.
maybe at that time that was fun for us, and we
Yeah.
enjoyed it a lot. We enjoyed our college phase. So yeah, so my first month,
Good
pretty much very
memories.
easy.
Yeah.
Seniors were very helpful, very, very helpful. Uh, at least from the athletics point of view, I never interacted much with my branch seniors because it was sort
Mm-hmm.
of community. It was like a community for me. Like athletic community became my family at that point. So they helped me out
Mm-hmm.
with everything, whatever I need, moving around. I needed help with cycle, needed some help with notes. So they will go with their batchmates and reach out and get me things. So
Really?
it was pretty much
Wow.
sorted for me. Even my only ragging which was done to me was they ate all my mom's laddus which I carried. They all loved it. So the only trend was that whenever I go home, I need to get one box of laddus for everyone. So
Mm,
that is how it was. So
got
yeah, fair bit of fun for me for first year.
mm-hmm.
Got involved in athletics and studies, nothing else. I did nothing else, and that was one of the things one of my athletic seniors told me at that point, that focus on one thing, don't get involved in too many things. While you will enjoy, you can go for cultural, you can go for drama, you can go for music, you can do all that, but pick up one thing that you think will shape your career at that point. And I chose
Mm-hmm.
athletics, and I feel that it worked really well for me. But there were many people
Mm-hmm.
who ended up doing dance, basketball, multiple things. Appreciate what they
Mm-hmm.
could do. Maybe I couldn't do it at
Mm-hmm.
that point, but I feel that I did justice to uh, what I picked up. So yeah, that was my
Got
first
it.
year.
Got it. Were the big three your seniors? Those big three
Correct,
who would win
correct,
gold, silver, bronze in every
correct, correct.
they were the seniors? Okay.
Ashish Arpe,
And
Virender Singh. Yeah.
nice. Then did you give NSO and the athletics and the shot put disc, all that stuff? You had a background. How did you get into NSO and
So in my
athletics?
school, ninth class, I did shot put. I played
Okay.
district in shot put, CBSE
Mm,
school district, and that is how I got into athletics.
and
And uh, when I reached college, everyone was like, NCC is not something you want to do. And NSS social work, I was like, far, far away. What is social work? I had no idea what is social work. I can't go to villages and teach people. That is not something I am very good at doing. By teaching was,
mm,
and then going to villages, and then patience was not my
mm,
advantage at that
mm.
point. So I was like, ये तो नहीं होगा तो एनएसओ में किसी भी तरह घुसने का अपने. That was the
Okay.
mindset I
Mindset.
reached with.
Okay.
And then when the selection trial was going on, I was like, and I was the biggest kid except for maybe a couple of them in terms of my height weight. I was quite big, so I figured ki even if
Mm,
I do a very average throw, I'll still throw more than anyone else, and that is what happened.
mm, mm,
That is what ended up happening, and that is how I got through with my NSO. With that big body, I couldn't run too much or otherwise, but that got me through
mm.
athletics. And the coach
Got
thought
it.
that he will end up grooming me for something big.
Mm,
And obviously, these three giants were there at that point who were
yeah.
very supportive. Like one of the best
Yeah.
seniors you will come across in your life. And I really respected Ashish Arpit at that point, who maybe played a small role in terms of carving the future for me. Yeah.
Mm, yeah, man. Those three seniors, like I would always see them together. Everyone was like, these
Yeah.
three are together. They get the gold, silver, bronze, IIT Roorkee's fix. So there was
That
this
that was the
different.
year they first time got it. That was my first year where they
Yes,
first time got it.
I see. I see. So that's first year where you're doing all those NSO and all. What the memories of NSO are, it's not very pleasurable for me. The 6 o'clock you come from class 6:30, Pandey sir, you're just stretching and just running and I'm already hungry. The food is not good and you're making me run. I want to play tennis. I joined NSO for playing tennis and but there was fitness classes Monday, Wednesday,
Yeah.
Friday, whatever 3 days were there. I'm like ended. I want to go to court. I want to play tennis. So that was
So I had a
little bit
hack for it.
torture.
I had
Oh.
a hack for it. I asked my coach to tell Pandey sir that they can't make me do so much fitness. I need to focus on my strength, and I will just divert towards athletics. I'll run towards athletics. Yeah. I've done it a lot, except for the assessment days where Pandey sir
Yeah.
were hosting tests and all that. I will
Oh,
sneak out to my athletic session and train there. So
got
I've
it.
done a lot of it as well. Yeah.
Did you, what was your first event where you joined the IIT Roorkee clan? I went to the BITS Pilani. They had Bossum. Were
Yeah.
you there or you
No,
were there
I didn't go.
in first year?
Athletics,
Okay.
I don't think so. Went for that. I
Hmm.
directly went to Inter-IIT with Lawrence from first year. Lawrence
Okay,
Kanyal,
so
if you remember him.
first one was it in Kanpur? First Inter-IIT was
Yeah,
in Kanpur. Yeah, yeah. It's in December, and then
correct,
we
correct.
had Diwali holidays. Diwali holidays, everyone was going home because we were in
And
the
we were
sports. We
training
were
there.
staying. Yeah, we were training there 6 o'clock in the mornings.
Yeah, yeah,
And if you reach late, your attendance is gone. If you don't meet
correct,
attendance criteria, you can't
correct, correct.
play
I remember.
Inter-IIT. Yeah,
You'll get
there
extra meal.
was.
You'll get that eggs. You'll get that
Egg,
juice. You'll get
extra egg,
that.
paneer, yeah, yeah. We all used to sit next to the swimming pool and then have all the
Correct, correct.
andas
So
and
every team will
paneer.
sit. So tennis will sit. Then athletics will
Yeah,
sit at
that,
one corner.
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember
So
everything that way too. Yeah,
for tennis, we were family with table tennis. So table tennis were like a small family. We would watch them, they would watch us. With athletic, I feel like it was big enough that it was just family by
yeah.
itself, right?
So they were
Yeah, there
individual
was.
families, and their football was separate, hockey was separate, basketball was separate, athletics was separate.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
cricket was separate. Whereas few smaller
yeah,
sports ended up gelling up together and working it out.
yeah,
Like squash and
yeah.
badminton were together.
I see, I see.
Yeah,
Got it. So how was the Inter-IIT experience or in the first year, did you get a chance to do that role that you really like because you are participating?
So
When
while I
was
was
that you
participating,
got chance? Hmm.
the main thing that I figured that I was more of a 12th man at that point because Lawrence and I were really young. We were taken for experience point of view. So we ended up helping the whole team rather than just thinking individually because at then we ended up playing like one event each and where we were like in 20s, not even in the top 10. So our
Hmm.
main idea was to support everyone, whatever we can, cheer for everyone, making sure they're hydrated, making sure their meals are done on time, like becoming their managers to say. So that is
Hmm.
what we ended up doing, and we did good. Uh, we
Mhm.
managed to do it really well, and yeah, that is where. Uh, I figured that I'm a team player in terms of managing. I'm not one of them who's trying to compete with them. Maybe that's why I'm not
Hmm.
that competitive in my head also while I play a sport. Uh,
Hmm.
but I'm competitive for a team rather than an individual in an individual
Hmm.
capacity. Yeah.
Got
So
it.
that
And then
is what the learning for me was.
and we had the Sangram in first year. Did you play some role in Sangram?
No, Sangram was the
Hmm.
first event I organized for Roorkee.
Yeah.
So Simarpreet Singh and all these guys were like the lead people who were doing it, and I
Hmm.
was the volunteer in terms of helping them
Hmm.
do it. The first year,
Got it.
obviously, you end up becoming a volunteer. So I was that volunteer who was trying to figure my way up, what is happening, and then there was the senior
Okay.
who was a designing guy in second year
Mhm.
at that point, Piyush, who helped me get
Mm.
understand everything and how it was going.
Got it. Got it. And then you did intern in core field. The first intern was in core field, and then you did in OGQ, right?
No, no. So
So,
first intern I did in RR Cat. It was a
mhm.
very computer simulation based internship, and After that, immediately when I went back to college, year two itself in 2010, I got placed with OGQ, and it was a year-round internship.
Okay. So how did you get placed in OGQ?
OGQ. No,
And
so
why?
yeah.
Yeah, so you did that for first intern, the computing intern. Was it a disappoint? Like, was it a okay? I don't want
No,
to
I
do
loved
it,
it.
and then
No,
you
I
loved
loved
it.
it. I loved that internship.
Okay.
I loved computer programming to a point. So I
Mm-hmm.
really love doing it. It's just that sports is something that comes naturally to me. While computer simulation and everything is fun, I always enjoyed doing sports more. So that is how it is. So 2010, I didn't get selected for uh, getting into Inter-IIT. Uh, Various
Mm-hmm.
reasons for it. And when I didn't get selected, I was like really disheartened that there's nothing left. I should leave sports and all that. And that is when this internship came up. And
Mm-hmm.
Simarpreet Singh got this thing from Web of Tandon, who's again a senior who used to play table tennis way back. He was part of OGQ, and he circulated a query that he's looking for interns to
Mm-hmm.
work, and he's looking at IIT Roorkee because he is from IIT Roorkee. I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
fine, let's apply. Let's see where it takes me. I
Mm-hmm.
applied. He called me. We had a phone interview. Went well. Then we we did an analysis interview. There were 3-4 people who applied from Roorkee. And, I got selected in the first round, and then there was another one who got selected later. But yeah, that is how I got into OGQ.
Was it on-campus placement? Like it came on the portal and you apply through
No, it
portal,
didn't
or
come on
was
the
it?
portal. No, it didn't come on the
Okay.
portal. It was more like a personal thing to Simmer from WebHub,
Mm-hmm.
and Simmer circulated it in the sports group whoever wanted. So many who knew Simmer ended up applying. I don't think so. The reach was that much that a lot of people applied, but yeah, limited
Mm-hmm.
few who I guess Simmer knew ended up applying.
Got it. And how was that experience, OGQ? What did you did there? Did you like it? That was your first
Loved it.
exposure into the
Yeah,
sports industry. Yeah.
yeah. In the international sports arena, that was my first experience. I guess how Vaibhav taught me there, Vaibhav Tandon shaped my career. He's still my ideal who I look up to. While I've stayed with him, he was my flatmate for many years in Bombay. He's still my go-to guy in terms of whenever I need any advice in sports. He's the person who actually ended up shaping my sports career. While he agreed to it or not, he's very humble that way. But he's the one who showed me the path. I was interning with OGQ for almost 3.5 years. So when I left OGQ, I was the second oldest person in that company at that point when I left OGQ. So I left it while I was joining football, and even OGQ helped in getting me this job in terms of my first recommendation
Mm.
went from OGQ, and obviously when
Mm.
Viren Raskina recommends you, that means you hold that value. And I remember Viren telling me that I hold you responsible for 6 months. You either prove yourself or either you don't show me your face at the end. Matlab not this hard, but he was very particular that
Yeah.
I am vouching for you, so you better prove it. And after 6 months, I met him. He said, "You have done me justice," and
Mm.
he still tells me that if ever a day comes and you want to switch back to OGQ, the doors are open. So yeah,
Mm.
that gave me the confidence that sports is something where I can excel. And with that
Gotcha.
internship, change a lot of things, change a lot of mindset. Actually, that is the time I started building up patience because I obviously used to do mistakes, make mistakes here and there in my presentations. Otherwise, Weber will sit down with me. He will tell me this is how it is done. He will correct it rather than like shouting at me and all that. So it did end up working out better for me.
Mm. I see. And what were you doing there? As for a viewer, someone who's in college and saying, okay, what is this OGQ internship? What do you do in that internship? What
So
was
I
your
was
role there?
specifically handling research in terms of quantitative analysis of a player. So if it's a shooter, score progression comparison with Asia number one, international number one, India number one and two, 1, 2, 3, mapping out in terms of last 10 years of performances, how the growth path is. So a lot of research behind it. What is the kind of background they come from? what is the chance of success they have, should OGQ sign them up or not. Obviously, there were more people who will review this report, but yeah, the base report was prepared in
I
my
see.
tenure. So the work was approximately 1 hour a day, not more than that,
Mm,
which you can accumulate over the week and finish off your reports. So I used to sit down on a Saturday morning, finish off like 6 to 7 straight hours of work, and I will finish off those reports. Uh, in a month, I'll end up doing like 3 reports on an average, in terms of
mhm,
whether rejection, approval, or to monitor over time, and then ended up monitoring a lot of OGQ sports in terms of how they are growing in India, what are different competitors doing, and all that, and helping them with the newsletter, the content for it, tracking all the athletes who we had at that point. Now the pool is
mhm,
really big. At
mhm,
that point, it was me. There was another guy and Weber who were managing all the athletes in terms of the data part. So I was a
mhm.
research and analysis team intern.
I see. And what is OGQ? Is it funded, private, government
Not for
funded,
not for profit,
NGO?
not for profit,
Okay.
and people put in money and they raise money and then they spend it on players for their growth.
So people are donating money to the org for
Yeah,
sports to be better.
the
And who are
yeah,
these people? Like, if the typical pool of these people who donate money to OGQ, are they former athletes, big businessmen, or?
businessmen. It's more HNIs and followed by sportsmen along with individual donors as well.
Got it, got it. So after OGQ, you're back into IIT. How was your parents'
No,
reaction
so
of joining OGQ?
OGQ was always parallelly going on. It was never that OGQ
Okay.
ended.
I
OGQ
see, I
started in
see.
February 2010. It
Mm-hmm.
actually ended for me in August 2014. It
Okay,
was
I
like a
see.
3.5, 4 years internship. It
Okay,
was
got it.
continuous. It was so that is what month mein काम was like relatively 15 to 20
Hmm,
hours of work, which I could manage easily with my other activities. So that is how it
I
shaped up.
see. How was your parents' reaction when you said I'm doing intern in OGQ sports?
Their point was you're doing something what makes you happy. We are okay, but don't lose focus on your studies.
Mm,
Ended up that
okay.
internship ended up paying for, except for the tuition fee at college, ended up paying for all my ancillary needs in terms of
Mm,
going out,
mm-hmm.
partying, or whether eating in canteen. So at the end, my dad just deposited the check for tuition fee.
Mm-hmm.
Rest, since that day, I never asked my parents for a single penny. In terms of that,
Wow.
used to account for my train tickets or everything over the year. And then I was getting that there was NTSC scholarship also I was getting from my school time. So that was also there. So
Mm.
all plugged and play, my year was sorted in terms of the money part of it. And Roorkee, anyways, is not that expensive like Bombay,
Yeah,
where
that's
you
not.
spend more
Yeah,
than what you earn. So
got.
that internship was like self-sufficient for me from that point of
For how long does NTSC scholarships last? Do they support till
view.
bachelor's, master's? The
Bachelor's, full
NTSC
bachelor's,
scholarships, full bachelor's. Yeah.
full
Okay.
bachelor's. Masters, because you anyways get a stipend from college, then they
Mm,
don't.
okay. Got it. So I'm getting some memories of I'm getting a visual of me and you in the balcony of Jawahar Bhavan, and we are talking about OGQ. I was in your room, you're doing stuff, and you were saying I'm doing intern in OGQ, and I'm like, wow, man, this is so cool. But I don't know, like after that, when did we met? Why I didn't pursue that, or but I'm getting that visual. We were in the balcony, you were talking about OGQ, and I was like, this is really cool. But maybe at that point, I didn't have the belief or faith or idea that I can do things. Maybe I was so myopic, like I'm P and I'll do job. Maybe this guy is, very good in communication, all that. I'm not there. So I'm getting that visual as we are talking about that phase. So let's talk about little bit more about you're doing this OGQ. What is your plan while you're in your fourth year or fifth year? Are you thinking of doing the IIM, or are you thinking of getting a placement, 36 lakh, or are you thinking you already have a good plan on the sports field?
No, so at that point, sports was not something which was growing except IPL. If you
Hmm.
see, there was nothing except IPL which was going around. So landing a job in sports, I was not that confident at that point, at least fourth year end or fifth year starting. And the main idea was that let's crack placement and let's do a job. Because I never, at, in my fifth year, I realized I don't want to do IIM. That I was sure of.
Hmm.
While I never told my mom about it, that I don't want to do, I kept on thinking, kar lenge, whatever, we'll see. But I was like, last year mein placement le lete hain and we'll go. So
Uh-huh.
after my fourth year, we got a internship at Kane India and we were expecting that PPO aa jayega. Like we did
Hmm.
good there, but obviously they didn't issue PPO to anyone. And we are expecting
Hmm.
PPO aa jayega, then life set hai, and
Hmm.
you don't have to worry. But obviously PPO didn't come in. We sat for the
Hmm.
interview. We sat for the group discussion. We cleared all the first rounds. We sat for the group discussion. Our topic of discussion was shoelace, which again that was not a forum or not a way that I communicate too much in terms of debate or argument. So group discussion was
Hmm.
always a struggle for me, and that
Hmm.
shoelace coming as a topic just messed it up for me. So I didn't get through
Hmm.
my group discussion for K in India.
Hmm.
While for Schlumberger, I went to the interview stage, and in the interview there were five people, and it ended up becoming more of an argument rather than an interview with one of the individuals. And at that time, I was the general secretary of sports, and that guy used to play cricket in the earlier days. So,
Okay.
pata nahi, it became more like an argument rather than interview. So, even one of the interviewer knew one of my friends, and they were like, "You can't just interview." Sorry for the language, but yeah, that
Ah.
was the statement
Hmm.
after my interview. I said he got personal, so it became more like a thing.
Hmm.
So obviously, I didn't get selected. That guy later saw me on the tracks I was training, and he came to play cricket.
Hmm.
So I still had that arrogance at that point that you can't enter my field. At the end, I'm still the general secretary, whether you selected me or not.
Oh,
I can still take that call
really?
on. So I was so
Uh-huh.
so agitated at that point, and that is what I'm saying, that I was
Yeah.
very aggressive at that point. Well, I
Hmm.
I didn't have to show that attitude, but I ended up showing that attitude.
Hmm.
Uh, I did it for maybe less than 30 seconds. Then I said, no, I'm just joking. You can go. But in herself, I knew that if it was any
Yeah.
other given day, I wouldn't have allowed that guy to at least enter, because the kind of argument it went to in the interview was uncalled for. It was not even required to
Hmm.
be in that interview. The interview turn like took a whole new turn because of that discussion. And it was
Hmm.
never then about me interviewing. It was more about personal egos which were clashing. So I didn't get
Hmm.
selected. I was sad for good 2-3 days. I didn't end up applying for the next 2-3 days. It was -1 and 0 day companies which I didn't get selected, and I was like super depressed. I was like, I don't want to apply anywhere. I'll see where
Hmm.
my life takes me. And I was like,
Hmm.
chuck job. I'll see whatever it comes out. And then
Hmm.
January May we had to give that gate ka exam.
Hmm.
Uh, for ranking. So we ended up giving that reasonable rank. But I was like, okay, we'll figure out something with my career. Still have not
Hmm.
landed up with a job. Still with a very reasonable CGPA, I still don't have a job and all that. But obviously
Hmm.
parents were getting into pressure. Everyone is asking, अरे क्या हुआ आपके लड़के का, उसका जॉब नहीं लगा, हमारे लड़के का तो यहाँ लग गया, and all that happens in uh, every community ना, तो वही शुरू हो गया. Everyone was in pressure.
Hmm.
I was like, I'll figure it out. I'll figure my life out. Don't worry about it. While internally I
Hmm.
was like super pressurized कि भाई क्या चल क्या रहा है लाइफ में. तो उस टाइम पे कॉमनवेल्थ हो रहे थे. आई रिमेम्बर
Ah.
2014 में कॉमनवेल्थ था ग्लासगो
Hmm.
में. सो आई वाज वर्किंग ऑन एन ओजीक्यू रिपोर्ट. सिर्फ जून में कॉलेज खत्म हुआ. आई डिडंट हैव अ जॉब. आई सेड घर जाते हैं. I told mom, give me 6 months, I'll figure something in sports. If I don't, I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'll go study abroad, I'll do whatever it takes, but give me 6 months to do whatever I want to do.
Hmm.
So
So
I was
this is
sitting,
after your fifth year. So
yeah,
after
after
fifth
that.
year, you don't have job. You went home. You said, "Mom, give me six months."
Yeah.
You don't have plan at that point of time. Like, what will you do in
No,
6 months? You're
I
just
was clear मेरे को sports में कुछ करने का है. क्या
कुछ
करने का है?
करना है. You don't know.
I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do. But I was so
Okay.
determined that मैं कुछ तो करूँगा और sports में ही करूँगा, whatever I want. My mom was
Hmm.
super stressed. Dad was like, okay, fine, give him 6 months. It's not that he's going to struggle uh, this much. Let him
Hmm.
struggle and figure his way out. And
Mm.
mom was like, no, 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 pick up. I said, kuch nahi ho. I'll prepare next 8 months. Like, you give me time
Mm.
from June to December. नहीं हुआ जनवरी
Mm.
से अक्टूबर तक तैयारी करके I'll go
Mm.
pick up CAT का तैयारी करके I'll give CAT
Mm.
का exam. So mom was like,
Wow.
ठीक है, 6 months is yours. So I was working on an
Mm.
OGQ report, and that is when it struck me that why don't I take OGQ's help in figuring out what are the options available out of uh, in sports. So till that time, I applied in a couple of companies. Few of those companies ended up becoming my vendors right now. Had best experiences when they come and make me a pitch, and they remember that I interviewed for them, and now they have to pitch it to me to get the business. And
Are
few
they
of them were
same
very,
people?
yeah, same
Are
people.
they same people?
Few of them
Okay.
were really bad while they took an interview. So when I take an interview, I'm
Uh,
uh, very humble to them, because at the end paths can cross. So I had really bad experiences in a couple of interviews. Interviews didn't go my way. I got a couple of job options based out of Chennai,
mhm.
Bangalore, but the pay was really low for even for me
Mm.
to shift and then start figuring out life. They were like in the range of
Mm.
20-25,000, that low at that
Mm.
point.
Mhm.
And
And what were
that
these
is when I,
role like, Ikan? What were these role
analyst,
like?
analysis.
Analyst. Okay.
So game analysis, one was related to cricket analysis, the team which does the Indian cricket team analysis. One was with them. So more, because I always interned with an analyst position, it was more dependent on that. Whereas I was looking for more organizational or project management kind of role till then. So
Mm.
it happened. I reached out to OGQ, and I remember asking my CEO at that point, Viren Raskina, was still the CEO of OGQ. I
Mm.
asked him that, does he know anyone? He was like, give me a couple of days. And I asked him on 26th of August. I remember
Mm.
2014, I asked him for help, that can you help out? He's like, sure. 28th of August, Chennai FC was formed.
Ah.
Uh, like back office में बना था ये, obviously came
Mm.
out later. Uh,
Mm.
and I got a call from him on 2nd of September saying,
Mhm.
do you want to work in football? I said, football is one of the sports I hate. I can't, like, football, kaise? He's like, talk to them at least if you get a chance, if you want to work. I said, role kya hai? He's like, I don't know, but they have just formed a club and they are looking for young people to join them. I was like, ठीक है, if you can let me know the email ID. I emailed the then CEO of, at that point, the CEO of OG Chennai. At that time, it was called Chennai Titans. The first name of
Okay.
the club was Chennai Titans. So I emailed my resume. The CEO said, okay, fine, we'll speak on 5th at whatever time we decided, but there was some signal issue. And he was like, chalo chodo, we'll talk tomorrow. And 6th September, I remember, it was a Saturday, 11 o'clock, he called me. I was just doing some time pass at my house. So he called me. It was like a 10-minute interview. And the final question from him to me was, why do you want to join us? I said, I hate football.
Mm.
And I still
Mm.
remember this answer because this is still my favorite answer. I said, I hate football. He was taken aback. He was a big Man U fan and all that. So he was like, why? So as in, then how do you fit? I said, when people are biased about football, I'll be the one who will think straight and give you an answer in a very unbiased way, and I won't get involved seeing the match. I'll rather do my work and finish off things. And that is what it
Mm.
clicked for me. And he ended up giving me a job. 6th Saturday, it got finalized at 12 o'clock. He obviously the pay was not that great, but it was obviously again a big thing to work on. And Monday was my joining, so I immediately packed my bag. 7th, landed up at IIT Bombay at a friend's room who was a junior. Landed up in his room. Figured local travel. The office was in Nariman Point. IIT is
Mm.
in Powai. So figured local
Mm.
travel because पैसे इतने नहीं है कि कैब से रोज जा सकते हैं ऑफिस. तो फिगर्ड लोकल ट्रैवल, ऐसा धक्का मुक्का खा के 2 बार ट्रेन से धक्का देके बाहर निकाल दिया. लाइक मी बिग, दे थ्रू मी आउट ऑफ द ट्रेन. आई कुडंट गेट इनटू इट. सो फिगर्ड कि ऐसा 2-3 को ऐसा धक्का देके घुसना पड़ेगा. कांट बी पोलाइट एंड ऑल दैट.
Mm.
Reached office, figured I was the first employee of the company and I'm still with them uh,
Wow.
since then. So yeah, that is how it all
Wow.
started for me.
So you're the first employee of
Yeah.
Chennai FC now,
Obviously.
which is
Yeah, there are
uh,
directors who were obviously from the company and the owners, but yeah, employee wise,
yeah.
I'm the first.
Got it, got it. And
So
what was your role? Did you had a good understanding what you would be doing
no,
when you pack your bag and
no,
moved? You just went
no.
there like you'll do
I
good.
just went.
It's a sport. I
No, no,
see.
no. My point was that I maybe was like कि कहीं चले जाते हैं, or else mom will always keep on feeling कि I am not
Mm,
doing good enough for sports. I was like, let's go in. We will figure life out over time. So I went in with my
mm.
packed bags. They said it will be a project management role. Abhi. There's nothing like a project management in sports. Okay, project management is
Uh,
literally everything. And I
oh,
went in at that time. Our finance manager or head at that point sat with me. He gave me a big
mhm,
list. I had no
mm.
idea of half the things what he told me. I was like, okay, I'll do everything. I'll do everything. I got down, sat with that list. I had no idea about half of the thing. Then I switched off my
Uh-huh.
brain and I thought if I was organizing Inter-IIT, the budget was say 80 lakhs or 1 crore. This is just 50 times it. So I
Mm,
just need to magnify in terms of what I am doing and the magnanimity of it. So I then started up picking up blocks. They needed kits. So I called up Shiv Naresh. All my connects started coming in handy. Whoever I spoke. So
mm,
IIT indirectly played uh, a lot in helping me. Like there was a lot of maths
mm,
involved in terms of figuring out numbers, in terms of negotiations, in terms of old
mhm,
connects, procuring balls from Nivea. Again, Nivea
mm,
was a connect. Procuring kits from Taika. TK Sports was the company which used to provide hockey sticks to our players. They entered into manufacturing at that point. So it all plugged
mm,
and play for me really well. Started picking
mm.
small stuff up, and that is how I ended up doing it.
I
When they
see.
figured that I can do multiple tasks, they said that you become the team manager. Now, team manager
Mm-hmm.
is a very football centric role, which I didn't figure that is a very football centric role. Like I
Mm,
can do it. So I was shifted to Bangalore where the team was having preseason, and then there was this team coordinator, Pratham, who's a very good friend
mm,
now, still
mm,
working with us. So Pratham was there as a team coordinator, and he was working. I sat down with him for a couple of days. Figured I was like, team manager is not what something I can do. I'll break someone's head because it required a
mm,
lot of patience because the players keep on getting onto your nerves after a point. Like I want
mm,
this, I want that, and all that. So after a point, I was like, team manager is not what I can handle. I don't have that kind of patience any. Like at that point, I didn't
mm,
have patience. So he
mm,
said, then I reached out to my CEO, sir, I can't do it. So he's like, why don't
mm,
you handle logistics? Until that
mm,
time, I had taken like some 3 flights in my whole life because Roorkee was always a
mhm,
train travel. He's like, why
mhm,
don't you handle logistics? I said,
mhm,
flight booking, okay, can manage, can book. Cars, can
mm,
figure out, do something about it.
mm.
I like, okay, let's take it as a challenge. Here, at least I'll be dealing with people who I can shout at rather than agreeing to them and trying to sort things for them. And it worked out well. My role then got defined actually from a project manager who was doing multiple things,
Mm.
doing plug and play for everything to being a logistics manager with the club. So I
I
managed their
see. I
logistics for the first 2 years then. Yeah. Whole movement team ka,
gotcha.
all owner plans, everything I managed.
Got it. Got it. And then now you're playing the role of VP. So what does that looks like?
Now it is a CEO equivalent role. We don't have
Mm-hmm.
like the president is obviously the owner and the next
Mm-hmm.
in command after the financial directors and the CFOs is the VP. So it it then includes everything 0 to 100, whatever is required for the club or for the league.
Got it. Got it. And then you said you were general secretary for IIT Roorkee. Which year was it?
Uh,
2014?
14.
14. Also, after I graduated in 13 when we had it at
Niranjan
IIT
and
Roorkee.
Kayati.
Niran, yeah. So after that, you
13.
became the
Yeah.
GSEC. You said the budget is 80 lakh, 1 crore for Inter-IIT. Was it
No,
when
so
we
the
had
yeah,
Inter-IIT at
yeah,
IIT, you
2012.
realized?
Yeah, 20, no. This was 2012 when the Inter-IT was happening at IIT Roorkee. Uh, at
2012
that time, the
December,
budget,
yeah.
at that time, the budgets were 80 lakhs given to us to do the
Wow,
whole.
really? That's
Yeah.
big amount. So to do what the whole organizing, equipments, referee, stay,
Everything,
and everything.
stay, everything.
So were you paying to hostel? So if someone is staying in Rajendra Bhavan in a room, do you pay to Rajendra Bhavan?
So the food was paid for, the rooms were not
Hmm.
paid for.
Rooms were free
Food, bedding,
for.
yeah, food, bedding, everything was paid for, and every IT who participates gives a certain amount of money as well to cover some of your cost. Yeah.
Wow, I never I played Inter-IIT, but all these things never occurred to my mind. At that time, I didn't. I was just playing and doing all this thing. So that's a big amount, man. So all IITs paying so that the host IIT has a good budget there. Gotcha. All right, so let's talk about the ultimate table tennis. I saw a video on Facebook. It's dope. The new
Yeah,
trailer is just dope where the guy is trying to eat the dining and then he takes the plate and there's another guy.
they start doing
It
it.
was amazing. Yeah, yeah. It's fabulous. So how did you get involved in that?
So it's again the same owner's idea, Mrs. Rita Dani's idea, brainchild,
Uh-huh.
that she wanted to do it. Her passion came because her son still plays table tennis on an international circuit. He's internationally from India number seven in terms of Indian rankings. He's number seven, and that is where her passion came for table tennis. That let's build up a league in table tennis, and let's try to support the game rather than making it commercial right now. While obviously at the end you
Mm,
have to make commercial success, but someone needed to grow the game in terms of putting in some kind of CSR fund or funding to it to make it grow. And the problem what India was facing was not getting enough international talent to come to India, explore with the Indian people, coaches to come to India, because India was always considered as a very scared country in terms of if you
mm,
have to come. So we changed that mindset of people when we did an
mm,
event in 2017, India Open it was called, and we got players internationally. They started appreciating the kind of things India is capable of doing, and we did that event in Delhi, which is at that time known to be one of the scariest cities. So many people, and, international
mm,
women even coming in. So we changed that
mm,
mindset. We started getting Indian players. Now the league is known. Obviously, it couldn't take place in the last 3 years because of COVID, and there was a court case going on in the federation. That is why it was not held. But now this year we are back for our fourth
mm.
season, and we are doing it in Pune now in July. Yeah,
I like the Pune team name, Pune
Puneri Pine.
Repulton. Yeah, very. All the names in Ultimate Table Tennis are a little bit, what do you say? Sort of spicy and all. Bangalore
No, so
Smasher.
many of these owners have multiple teams in multiple leagues. So Puneri has a
Okay,
team in Kabaddi as well, which is called Puneri Cotton
okay,
Kabaddi. U
same.
Mumbai, which
Okay,
is a table tennis team, they have a team in Kabaddi also.
okay. And the lady you mentioned, she's founder of Chennai FC and she founded the
Yeah,
Ultimate Table Tennis
Vita
League
Dani.
itself.
Yes.
So what's her background? Like, how did they form the Chennai FC? Like, what's their background? Because I would assume they should have good amount of money to start a club. So were they running businesses or?
So they are the co-promoters for Asian Paints. They are the
Okay.
largest, yeah, they are the largest shareholder and co-promoters
Hmm.
for Asian Paints, the Dani family.
Okay, got it. So then they were enthusiastic about sports, so they got together and started the team for football, and then the idea came for
Yeah,
table tennis. Got it. So you're not associated with any team in the Ultimate Table Tennis. You are in
we are
the
the league
league
owners. Yeah.
itself. Yeah, got it. And you're VP there. So what does the role and responsibility looks like on that front?
It again revolves around the same things as compared to team where we are focusing on individual set of performances
Mm,
for the club or the franchisee. Here, you're overall looking at the league where
mm,
broadcast comes into play, franchisees comes into play, their management, commercial rights come into play.
mhm,
And table tennis is one of those leagues which does everything on their own. So in football, what happens is obviously when you sign up players, you pay for their salaries, you pay for the venue, you pay, and you arrange everything as a club. Whereas in ultimate table tennis, you just come
mhm,
with your backpacks and you are in the
mhm,
team and you start playing. Whereas
mhm.
the league organizes everything. Players stay, staff stays, their what do you say, venue, everything we do. There is nothing which goes to the franchisee. So that's a very unique model. So the
Mm.
whole operations and everything is run centrally as compared to in football where every team runs their individual operations.
Got it, got it. And how frequently are the matches in the Ultimate Table Tennis? Are these
Table
matches
tennis is
happening
a
over weekend?
no, it's a 18 days back to back league.
Okay,
So
got it.
it
Short,
gets over in one stretch. Because what
got it.
happens is
Short and
internationally there
compressed.
are internationally there are a lot of tournaments which keep on happening
Mm.
all around. So getting player windows every weekend coming in, flying in internationally becomes a very cost heavy. So July is usually June or July period. There is usually a break of 3 to 4 weeks. That is when we do that. So a lot of
Got it.
international players, Indian players, everyone can come and participate.
Got it. Got it. And in these industry, now that you are in this industry for almost a decade now, so what's your sense, if you can give, general public an idea, what kind of people are working in this industry apart from the athlete? So athlete, everyone know, are there, but apart from athlete, all the people who are in the organizing, the coordinators, what kind of people are there? What kind of backgrounds are there?
Background varies. While I'll say engineers are still minimal,
Mm-hmm.
mostly are from a sports management background or event management background. But I have seen variety. I have seen IIMs work on it. I have seen IITians work in it. Obviously, on a uh, on a variety scale, there are literally any or every member you mentioned in terms of their background. You'll find doctors, you'll find physios. Obviously, that is their job as well. But from a management point of view, variety. We have seen commerce graduates. I've seen art graduates working on it. Sports management, event
Mm-hmm.
management. Yeah, so the variety is huge.
So what are you guys looking for? If this is your pitch for people to get into these leagues to support you guys, what is it you are looking for in the people?
So the current league system works on how passionate you are for doing it. That is the main thing, because
Mm,
sometimes it requires work at very odd hours. If you're part of, say, the digital team, digital is
mm-hmm,
24/7 on, the content is going up anytime, anywhere, any place. So that is one thing that is very particular, that we are looking for very passionate people who are there, who are ready to put in the number of hours required to uh, get it
mm,
done. And the second
got
is that some passion for sports. One is some passion for doing work where
it. Mm-hmm,
you want to do work. Other is some passion for sports so that you can understand things. While I still hated football, I understood it. I just didn't like watching it. Doesn't mean that I
mm-hmm,
cannot enjoy football. I just don't enjoy watching like 3 hours of football straight, but I still know that if required and I have to work on it, I will understand it. So that sport
mm-hmm,
passion is very much required, and that is what we are looking
got it.
for: young talented minds who can get the work done, put in some brains to it, put in some maths behind it. And I think that is the kind of profiles we keep on looking and hunting. But yeah, main is you need to have passion for sports, any sport. I'm not talking that you
Mm-hmm,
need to be football or table tennis to come and work with us, any sport.
mm-hmm.
But it has to be that you are okay accepting a new sport into your life and then working towards it.
Got it. Is there any preference to younger people? Can I join? I'm 30
Yeah,
plus. I'm
any
passionate.
any so
I love
our
sports.
our company, in terms of age profile, is the youngest in terms of the whole group. uh, if I tell you, I am the second oldest in the company when I'm just 31. So second or third oldest in the company. I have a team which ranges from 23 to 27 right now, and about 20 to 30 people or in the same bracket. So our thing is,
Mm,
we look for people who are passionate in terms of, and they're ready to put in the hours. What happens after a point is,
mm,
when people want to shift careers at 35 or 36, they don't want to put in those many hours. They have got into that stable mindset that I want to do specific amount of job, or that in sports, if you come with that mindset that it's a 9 to 5 job, then it's really gonna be tough.
Mhm.
I won't be
Mm.
lying that you can get a 9 to 5 job in sports. While if you're
Mhm.
working in accounts, obviously you can say that it will be a fixed hour job. But otherwise, in
Mhm.
sports, nothing is 9 to 5. And take it from me, even my family, even whoever I know, it's not a 9 to 5 thing. So that
Got it.
mindset has to be kept aside. While I am not
Mhm.
saying that sports will take away your personal life, you will have plenty and enough of time for your social and personal life, but you literally are always active.
Got it. It's not well defined, structured, same fix. There's a variability, but it's not you're working all the
Yeah,
time. You just
correct.
work at different times. Flexibility is there. Gotcha. And I'm a data scientist, Ekant. So how's the data science field in the I'm not trying to
So
look for a job.
no,
I'm happy, but
no.
yeah.
I'm genuinely sharing because data science and analysis is something what is coming up right now. The
Mm.
sport is dependent on science behind it, and that is why
Mm-hmm.
how people are running it. So uh, even even in terms of if you have to evaluate the numbers while every club is making a loss, those numbers are analyzed on a very great depth. So uh,
Mm.
how much can data science specifically be integrated? While I know number crunching, if someone understands number crunching, this
Mm-hmm.
is a massive field. But obviously they will need
Yeah.
some other expertise
Mm.
as well to gel it up, because
Mm.
just number crunching may not
Yeah.
be the thing. But
Yeah.
uh, maybe operational side, maybe sales side, because at the end you need to
Mm-hmm.
go and sell sponsorship. Even marketing side, you need to promote the brand. So uh, brand uh, uh, brand vision also needs to be there, or digital side, or
Yeah.
hospitality side. Even there's a separate wing of hospitality to cater to people when they come for the game, or ticketing
Mm-hmm.
side where people come and
Mm.
manage, or from a security point of view. So anything and everything works in terms of the profile. So, and I've seen people who come in with totally different backgrounds, and what they're doing right now is totally different.
Got it. Got it. Makes sense. And then in terms of using data for players to understand the game and make strategy, how are we doing there? How mature is the field for Chennai FC? Do you guys have a
So
or
we have
any
a
analyst?
yeah, we have
Mhm.
a team analyst who has been working in the Indian sports system, football system, for almost a decade now. And then obviously we
Okay.
have sports scientists, our assistant coaches, and coaches who supplement him with the knowledge from international arena as well.
Got it. And the Chennai FC team, I was looking at players. You have players from Brazil, France, Dutch, Colombia. So it's the sport is global. It's not the football league we have in India. It's not just local players.
Yeah.
You're pulling players from all across the globe. So that's kudos to you guys for doing it.
No,
And on the
that
on
is
the
there.
ta
That is there. Yeah.
Yeah, and on the table tennis side, how do you feel people's involvement now? It's getting more popular. So this season, I feel looking at the trailer, I think like it's sick. So people are going to tune in into it more.
No, so viewership, obviously, table tennis is not that high in terms of viewership. If you go by the TV data, how in sporting arena and
Okay.
otherwise it is defined, football obviously
Hmm.
garner more views, and table tennis is still considered as a home sport. If you say घर की table पे खेल लिया वाला sport, it is
Hmm.
not a commercial sports where people go and watch it. While the federation has some 220, international federation has some 222 countries registered like as separate federations, which is the highest among all the sports. But it is still
Right.
treated as more like a homely sport rather than a professional competitive sport right now. So we are
Hmm.
trying to change that mindset, is what we are coming at.
Hmm.
Uh, while it is a very common sport to understand and to play and to
Hmm.
take it up, but it's very competitive. It's very professional if you have to play it. So we are
I
trying
am
to
a
make that visible. Yeah.
I'm a Walmart Games ping pong champion. I won the gold medal once and the bronze medal one more time. So
You
here they
should
call
come to
it ping
India and
pong.
play. So
Here they
our
call it,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So our league was actually called Ultimate Ping Pong. Uh, the
Okay.
first name given to it was Ultimate Ping Pong, but
Hmm.
because of obviously we have to make it commercial over time and success. So for people to register it better, we had to
Mm.
change it to table tennis. So we ended up
Got it.
changing our copyrights to ultimate table tennis.
Got it. Sometimes I play in the Oculus, the VR. There's a
Yeah,
VR game for table tennis. It's so real. I
yeah.
get so lost and I hit the walls of my
Well said.
house because I think it's a drop shot and then I'm into the wall. So
Hmm.
okay, guys, did you ever thought in your college that you'll be VP of a league and a VP of a football club?
So maybe
That's something.
in my college,
Yeah.
definitely not. In my college, definitely not. But once I started working here, maybe in my third year, I figured a path in terms of I was very goal oriented. I knew what I wanted in life.
Mhm.
In my college, obviously, this was not expected from sports. There was nothing in sports at that point which I
Yeah.
could chart out a future at. But once I was here, maybe in my third year, I figured my growth part, what I need to do,
Mm.
when I want to do. And I guess
Mm.
maybe a delay of a year because of COVID, but rest everything was always in line in terms of how I
Mm.
thought in my head and executed around.
Got it. And how does next 5, 10, 15 to 20 year looks like for you now? Now you are on this path. What do you think next 15, 20 years you'll be doing, achieving?
So now what has happened over time is now I'm working on the team building part where
Mm-hmm.
I want to exit towards different role in the bigger organization and the parent organization and build up a team which will run the sporting arena overall, and
Mm.
maybe if we enter another sport, maybe look at that and build it up over time. So that is the whole idea.
Mm.
Maybe 5 years down the line, like have an independent team which is running football, where I'm just an advisor to it and trying to
Mm-hmm.
help them out wherever I can. That is the next 5 years idea. But
Got
I want to stick to the same owners in terms of the working profile.
got it. So you would be in sports industry next 5, 10, 15 years. Just a
Yeah,
different role, building
correct.
a
I don't want
teams
to,
who would do
yeah,
it.
correct. I don't want to leave sports because that is the thing which gets me that peace at the end of the day. Like when I lie in my bed, I'm
Mm.
happy that I worked on sports. I'm not that
Mm.
grumpy kid who will go in bed, I didn't want to do this today. Like, touch wood, over the years, I've
Mm.
realized that doing that one sports activity a day gives me that happiness when I go to bed.
Got it.
So
So
that is the
happy
thing.
to see that, man. So happy to see it, and I know a lot of people are a lot of enthusiastic about sports. Sport is something, if you're playing sports, I think you are passionate about it. If you're not passionate about it, probably you play for a month, 2 months, you leave it.
Correct.
The people you follow in sports are so passionate. Like all the role models, being it Ronaldo, Messi, Federer, Sachin Tendulkar, all these role models are so clearly visible, who are so passionate. So I feel like I want to experience how does it feel like to work in that industry, because it's a group of passionate people coming together, having a lot of fun. So it would be a very different energy. So let's see if I get chance in future, I definitely would like to work in that environment and experience how that looks like. Hopefully, maybe the data science grows and we have some good data science
but
opportunities. So
but the thing
yeah.
is, with so much passion comes so much emotions. So when you lose,
Mm.
it's a task.
Mm.
When you lose, it's a task. When you win, the
Yeah.
emotions are super high. So while corporate jobs are very well structured, organized, you have X amount of things to do.
Mm.
Sports is that way. At least in India right now, is not that developed to get into a corporate structure to go with. But it's because
Mm.
there are so many passionate people involved. It's always running high on emotions.
The
So
highs
that
are
comes as
very
a
high when lows are
correct.
very low.
So you have
Yeah, the
to
very
balance it every time with everyone. While obviously there
got
is an
it.
emotional toll with it, but the days you
Mhm.
are winning it, it just goes away. It just takes away all the losses in one go. Yeah. So
All
that is one thing. But
yeah,
that anyways, when you play, you
yeah,
understand what it is. So
yeah,
that
yeah.
amplified with 10 people sounding the same emotion together. That's the only difference.
Yeah, man. It was so good, Ekansh. I mean, you shared so much. I'm quite confident all the people who are in the sports industry or who are in school who wants to do more will get benefit a lot. So thank you for all of this. Now we'll do to the last segment, which is a rapid fire round. So I'll ask you a bunch of questions, and you need to give answer as fast as you can. Whatever comes to your mind, just tell us. So the first set
Yeah.
is more like either or. So do you prefer texting or talking?
Texting.
Do you prefer to stay indoor or outdoor?
Indoor.
Do you prefer competition or collaboration?
Collaboration.
Uh, what's more important, end results or the journey?
Journey.
Would you rather be able to speak to animals or rather speak every language?
Animals.
Street smart or book smart?
Street smart.
Climb a mountain or jump from a plane?
Hmm. Both are the things I don't like. But then jump from a plane.
Okay, do you prefer to learn from a teacher or a guru or self-learning?
Combination. Like I won't pick either.
Combination.
Yeah.
Got
Like
it.
I won't pick either
And
individually. Yeah. So it has to be a combination.
got it. Some hypothetical questions. If there's a day of no commitment, no responsibility, what would you be doing on that day?
Sleep. Any given day, that is sleep. If I have no calendars, I sleep.
Yeah, I see. If you found a way to travel through time, where would you go?
I won't go anywhere. I'm happy with the current time. And as I told you at the start of the call, that
Mm,
don't regret
mm,
anything. I don't want to change anything. I don't want to revisit
mhm,
any of the past. Whatever happened, happened for good, bad. It happened. That was the
mm.
life journey I got. In terms of if you just want
Yeah.
to explore
Mhm,
something, maybe
mm,
2011 Dhoni's winning six, I would like to go back to that moment just to see that
mm.
six. That's it.
Still,
I've seen it on TV. Obviously, want to see it in
mhm,
person, like maybe from an umpire's view. That how it came up.
yeah. Were you in the TV room when that happened in our RKB TV
We
room?
we saw it at Sukumar sir's house.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Me
didn't
and
got the
Simmer went
invitation.
and no, me and Simmer self-invited ourselves. Sir, we want to see the match. We don't want to see it in any common place. While we booked Prakash for watching the semi-finals against Pakistan,
Uh-huh.
we booked another place while we were watching the quarterfinals. But the finals
Uh-huh.
we saw at Sukumar sir's house. While they were all
So
sleeping,
who
me and Simmer were shouting in
hmm.
the living room.
So who were booking these rooms? Who all were? I didn't got invitation for that. Was it athletics
So it was
and
always Simmer.
basketball?
No. It was
Okay.
no. It was Jawar Bhavan. It was never athletics or basketball. It was
Okay,
Simar,
Jawar Bhavan.
Biswarup Saha, and then couple of other seniors. I was the junior most in the group, so I never ended up paying for
Got.
it. I was just there to watch the game.
Okay, now I don't feel very bad. So it was
Yeah,
different hostel organizing.
correct,
Okay.
correct. It was more like a
And
hostel thing, not a group thing. Yeah,
hmm, got it. If you could be invisible for a day, what would you do?
never thought so. Like nothing is coming to my mind for this question.
Got it. Now some technology questions since we are in the world of technology. How many
Yeah,
minutes after you wake up you check your phone?
1 second. The first thing I
One
do is check
second.
my phone after I get up.
And what's your last Google search? What did you search on Google last?
IPL score to
IPL?
yeah. Yesterday, in the morning I couldn't complete the game while I was going to sleep. So first thing was IPL and saw who won between CSK and the other team. Yeah,
I see. You're really into it, huh? Are you on social media?
yeah,
Do you
very
post on
inactive.
social media?
I
Very
hate social
inactive.
media.
Okay.
Yeah, very inactive.
What,
My
so
all posts
what?
are very much just reshare of things either office handles are doing or my wife is doing.
What are the top three apps on your phone that you use most frequently?
WhatsApp, Gmail, Netflix.
WhatsApp, Gmail, Netflix. Okay. All right. These are some little bit deeper questions. Best advice you have ever received?
Uh, Best advice is a funny one. On my first
Uh-huh.
day at job, I was waiting for office to open. It used to open at 9. I was there at 8 o'clock. Obviously, didn't wanted to get
Uh-huh.
late for my job. And I
Uh-huh.
called one of my friends who was working in cricket, and I told him that bro, मेरे को क्रिकेट में काम करने का है, कुछ देख फ्यूचर में आता भी है, फुटबॉल मेरे को
Yeah.
समझ में नहीं आता है, like typical Hindi,
Uh-huh.
talking to him
Mm,
walking in the office
mm,
compound. He's like, bro, I'm telling you
mhm,
one thing, never do a
mm,
sport which you love the most, you will start hating it. And I realized by the end
mm,
I finished the first season, and that was the advice I got.
mm,
And after that I never wanted to work in cricket, and I don't think so I'll ever work in cricket, because that is still the sport,
mm,
that is still one of the sports I love the
mm.
most. So yeah. Like other sports I
Excellent,
follow. I
excellent.
follow shooting, I follow archery, I follow a ton load of sports, but I don't
Mm,
love it like under se. So
mm,
that is where, that is
mhm.
the best advice I feel I've ever gotten, and that is, I guess, was one of those advices which uh, carved my path out in football.
Got it. Uh, and what is one advice you will give to our audience, whoever is watching around the world, if it's being watched around the world, what advice would you like to give it to them?
So I'll say this is one thing I follow for myself as well. Don't regret. Try to find a positive out of whatever has happened in your life. Like that is how I pick up things. Like I'll give you an example. I used to hate animals. I never wanted a pet animal. Right now, I have a dog who's sitting below me eating chicken on my foot. So
Ah,
it all grew on me over time. Obviously, my wife had a dog,
okay.
and obviously, I could have taken that stand. No, 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 I don't want it. I don't want it. I said no. It would have happened for a reason. This dog loves me too much. I maybe love her like immensely as well. So never regret
Mm,
anything. Whatever happens to you, pick up the positives from it
mhm,
rather than thinking, no, I
mm,
should have done this. You could have, you
mm,
should have, you would have. There are a
mhm,
lot of OU LDS that you could have
mm,
done, but you have not done it.
mm,
Let it
mm.
go behind. Figure out what you can do better, and take out the positives, whatever has happened. So don't regret. That is my only feedback.
Loved it, loved it. And my favorite player is Nadal. And in interviews, journalists ask if you would have done that, if you would have done that, what would I? And he says, if doesn't exist
If,
in sport, and if
yeah,
doesn't exist in life as well. So no regrets. So
have to follow.
that's where we wrap up the podcast, Ekansh, man. Thank you so much for taking the
Thank you for
time
having me.
from your busy calendar. And man, I enjoyed it. I love talking to you about all the sports thing, and I can see the passion, and I had a blast. And I hope people who are watching will get benefit out of it. And I hope you had a good time recollecting all the memories
Fun
of
time.
like a decade.
Fun time
Yeah, fun
recollecting all
time.
these memories. It's really
Yeah.
fun. And thank you for having me. And sorry for delaying it for almost over 2 months now.
No.
This was due for a long time. And even my wife ended up saying that, I know that you hate it, but this is something you wanted to do. Why haven't you done it? I said, I'm just not able to fix up any timing, something or the other comes. I said, just do it, whatever.
Mm.
One time fix it, then whatever happens around you, let it happen around you. So
Uh-huh.
we fixed today, and I was
Okay.
like, whatever said and done, I'm not changing it until and unless I'm on a flight. I'm going ahead and
Uh-huh.
doing it. So yeah,
Got it.
so
So
I'll
we owe
quickly
a big
change into
thanks to
sports.
your wife.
Yeah,
Yeah, then we owe a
this
big
one,
thanks to your wife.
because
Say
I'm
thank
again
you
not
to her.
a, correct. I'm not a
Yeah.
public person. If you end up like, if you
Mm.
interact with me one on one, I'll give you like way too many insights. Give you like a good. We'll have a good
Mm.
discussion. As soon as you put me in public and ask me to talk to 10 different people, then it's a big struggle for me. Or
Mm.
not a struggle. I just don't enjoy it. So when I don't enjoy it, I won't give my 100%. Like the same story, if you would
Mm.
have 20 people on this call, would have been very dull.
Mm.
So yeah, now I know it's just
Mm.
you. It just makes it more easier for
Mm.
me.
Yeah, I think this is really good episode. I mean, people are gonna love it. So I enjoyed it.
People are
I'll
gonna have
be
10
watching it.
different emotions. Now, people are gonna have 10 different emotions. This guy was very superficial. He changed this way, he changed this way. But obviously, you grow over time. When you
Yeah, yeah,
dream, you are 18. When you actually realize what you were dreaming, you're 30. And then you start actioning,
yeah.
you become 35. So, yeah, that is how the journey goes.
I mean, but I appreciate the honesty, Akansh, that the honesty you were speaking with, you were not trying to cover anything, things how it is. So I appreciate that. That's the reason why I'm doing it, so that we get the honest experiences of people, so that students who are in college can learn from us, who are 10 years graduate, like, hey, it's not just job lagi to life set hai, otherwise sab barbaad hai.
Correct.
There are many paths and all that. So that's the main idea. So thank you again. Thank you, Ekansh,
Thank
and
you.
we'll do Ekansh returns sometime in future. So
If you
if you have any
garner good
question
views,
for
then
Ekansh,
definitely.
yeah. If you have questions for Ekansh, we get good views. We'll do it back in the future. Thank you, Ekansh. Take care,
Done.
my friend.